Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. Sorry about the opening, so essentially we had an emulator that decided to crash right before we started the show, and so I just decided to do some testing, get a little behind the scenes, I guess. Let's go back to 1982. We were last in the arcades, and our very next release is not Baby Pac-Man. Let me go back to the other side. They're already ruining the unveiling. We were last in Japan on the Epoch Cassette Vision playing Monster Mansion. Our very next title is on the Magnavox Odyssey 2. Here's P.T. Barnum's Acrobats. So hold your breath. There's no Baby Pac-Man yet. First, we have the release that we've already seen once on the Philips Video Pack, but here it is on the Magnavox Odyssey 2. Let's take a look at P.T. Barnum's Acrobats. Here's the box, and it looks a lot better than Acrobats they had in Europe. And if you look in the top right corner, that's where this game shines. It's voice enhanced. When we played this on the Philips Video Pack, I thought we were supposed to have sound or the game talking to us, but it's because they didn't have the module yet. It hadn't come out, the voice on the Odyssey 2. But here we can actually hear the game talk to us. Apparently it's the greatest show on earth, and we'll see about that. Let's see the other artwork we have for P.T. Barnum's Acrobats. This is our 41st game on the Magnavox Odyssey 2. And we saw Jumping Acrobats in 1981, so it's essentially the same game. I just want to see how much talking or how much of the voice module it uses. There's the cartridge we're going to pop into play. It's 1 or 2 players. If you play with 2 people, you're going to be taking turns. However, you do get like fast alternate turns, but it's still not 2 people at the same time. And there's an example of the screenshot. We also have the manual for P.T. Barnum's Acrobats. Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus. So does that mean they got the license for it, or are they using the Circus Ringling Brothers and another? It does look like it doubles as a weapon chiptune. Oh yeah, here we go. Make sure your system's powered off. Put the cartridge in and then power it on. We've been seeing that with manuals since the 70s. So if you do the single player version, you can push 0 at the key on your keyboard. And this looks very familiar because this is essentially another one of those breakout variants, the clowns or circus games. We've been seeing quite a bit of those. We begin in the big top, and you're supposed to just move left and right, popping all the balloons. This was all the rage back in the 70s when we saw circus for the first time. Yeah, so this is the 15th game we played that is essentially clowns or circus. There's our Magnavox Odyssey 2 joystick. 8-way directional control. Doesn't quite play as well as the Atari VCS joystick, but still works pretty well. I know, right? We haven't seen one that really has topped it yet. Nice. So it shows you examples of how to play the game. We're going to be using the seesaw to bounce our acrobats back and forth. Hopefully there'll be lots of crunching noises and people dying, because that usually happens a lot with this. There's the point scored for whenever you play the game. And if you score over 999 points, the counter resets and starts over at triple zeros, if you get that many. Very nice. I really like the Odyssey 2 manuals, how it looks very neon. And if you play a single-player game, you got a few different game variations of where the balloons are going to go. So not too many variations, but it does give you a little bit of things. If you do play a 2-player game, you can do an alternate play where you use up all your lives and then switch turns, or you switch after every time you come down. So it's more of a quick, let's take turns with the seesaw back and forth. Very nice artwork on the Odyssey 2. So there you go. There's our game variations, all the different buttons you can push on the keyboard to do single player or double. So it has moving balloons, no shield, stationary, random. So just what are the balloons going to be doing, and if there's a shield to be blocking you. We'll be playing single-player modes, because if you play 2-player mode, you're essentially just going to be taking turns with someone else. All right, without further ado, let's pop in and play P.T. Barnum's Acrobats. This is Jim Butler, published by North American Philips Consumer Electronics. It's October 1982. All right, so what we're going to do first, pull up the keyboard, and I'm going to go with game mode 0. Nice. So I'm moving left and right, moving the joystick, and it... Yes, and it's already talking. At least it's saying little things here and there. Have mercy. Very, very muffled. When we played KC's Crazy Chase, I think KC sounded a little clearer than this one. Oh, no. When you clear a whole line of colors, then it just resets itself. And this really looks exactly like the one we played on the Philips Video Pack, just added sound. I don't see any... Well, I do notice that when we played on the Philips Video Pack, the balloons were square-shaped, and here they're circular. But other than that, it's playing the same. And I like how the animation is when you're squashed, he runs off the side of the screen like a cartoon character. Nice touch. And they added the element that if you hit the right edge of the seesaw, your character flies really, really high up in the air. It's almost like whenever you play Pong games and the games add English depending on where you hit on the paddle. That's what it feels like. Nope. This one marks our 58th breakout clone or breakout variant we've played on the show across all platforms. There are tons and tons of breakout games. And bear in mind, we are not doing the standalone consoles, the ones that were mostly popular in the late 70s. The voices that we're hearing in this one, I think we've already heard it before, too, from the other games that use the module. But if you consider this more of a Pong or paddle style game, this one is the 110th Pong or paddle game that we've played. It's the evolution or advancement of Pong and paddle games, but it still works. It's fun. Still having a blast in 1982. So the best way to play this style of game, or Pong or paddle game... Oh, let's keep going. Especially if you're going to play on home consoles, would be, of course, Breakout and Super Breakout on the Atari VCS. Warlords, big one on the Atari VCS. Breakaway on the Emerson Arcadia 2001. Oh, that was a good combo there. Fireball on the Atari, and that's part of the supercharger that uses a cassette. So there's lots of competition that this one is going against for the other games you could be playing on other home consoles. There's also a more obscure one like Syracuse that's available for the Philips Video Pack. That one had... Can I get this to go? How am I gonna get it to go to the other side? I guess I need to do a smaller bounce and not let it go. Or just die and let him smash. For straight-up circus and clown games, since this one's the 15th, the best ever circus and clown games we played so far has been Clowns and Balloons on the Atari home computer, Circus, which you could play on the Atari VCS, and then Clowns on the Commodore Max machine, which was really good for an arcade port, and then Circus and Clowns on the TRS-80 color computer, which is not the same as the other Circus and Clowns game. And then they also had Brickyard and Clowns on the Bally Astrocade. So there's already a lot of games that play like this arcade classic. Yeah, a very solid port, especially for a home console. And to have the voiceover, it really doesn't add too much to it. It's more just quaint. You hear the game talking to you, or it says things to you whenever you die or crash on the ground. It's kind of cool. So there's a taste of P.T. Barnum's Acrobats. Now, this is the 4th game that utilizes the voice. Thanks, Wizard of Odyssey. After Type and Tell, Casey's Crazy Chase, and Nimble Numbers Ned. Of all the games you could play right now on a home console, the voice is kind of quaint, but I'd still say this is around the average range. And out of all the games you could play across all systems, and especially since we're rating this on all consoles, I'd say it's around the average range. I'm going to go 2.5 stars of all the games you could play right now. It does have a few variations, but there are better Circus and Clowns games, and there's better Pong or paddle style games that you could be playing. So looking over the chat, I see a lot of averages too. 3 stars and even a 3.5. Oh, solid 3.5 of all the games you could play on a home console. I won't be as kind because there's a lot of other titles that are even better playing games than a Pong or paddle style game. So I'll say 2.5 stars at this point in 1982. All right, and without further ado, now let's finally go to the arcade and play some Baby Pac-Man. And over there on the left is the Pac-Man cartoon that you're watching right now in 1982. Yes. Let's take a look at the advertisement flyer for Baby Pac-Man, which doesn't make sense. Is it a baby? Is it a man? Why do they put Baby Pac-Man on there? This one is a bizarre one. This is the very first time we're going to get a video game and a pinball game in one. Flip with the advertisement over on the back. Baby Pac-Man's not so usually fun. It contains helpful hardware package because this one, now, we haven't really done any physical pinball games. There hasn't been actual pinball games that we played here on the show. We only do video games. This one we're making an exception because it is pinball, but it is video game. And I'm not really an aficionado on pinball. I am aficionado on video games. This one is the very first video game and pinball hybrid. Yes, package, new vertical cabinet. They really should be selling the fact that it's a video game mixed with a pinball cabinet. It's amazing. Yes, to my knowledge, this is the very, very first one. What is that, the stork that brought Baby Pac-Man to life? Oh, man. And here's another advertisement showing off the arcade cabinet. Along with, look over the top left, that's what the display looks like while you're playing Pac-Man. And then down below, that's the pinball that you play. And it really is pinball. It is physical pinball. So we're going to be doing a few tricks to be able to play this one over on the show. So there's the control panel. It has the 4-way joystick like you're going to play a Pac-Man game. And from here, everything looks like a normal Pac-Man game. The only difference is the 2 buttons that you'll be using as the flippers for the pinball. Yeah, no, did Granny and Gators come out second, or was this one the true first one? Since I'm not the pinball aficionado, I can't say with clarity. There's our arcade marquee for Baby Pac-Man, an example of the full system. Now, this came in 2 different ones. There was a larger one, and there was a more upright one that looked more like an arcade cabinet. There's Baby Pac-Man. I love it. So here we go. There's the, there's the arcade cabinet from there. All right, so we also have the manual or the instructions for the operator. Now, I would be hard-pressed to find someone that would want to set up a pinball/video game right now because this was already a pain to get set up and emulate here on the show. But after all the inspection, how do you play? 1 player is posted for 1-player game. Pinball is put in play using the right flipper button. The game awards all points earned by the player. Play again 1. Tilting the game results in loss of a Pac-Man. Yeah, you're not supposed to tilt the game. Slamming the machine results in loss of the game. Yeah, don't do that either. Did they explain the way to play? Because they showed the right flipper in turning scores over. Players 1 again and the high scores. Slamming the machine, drop targets in. Yeah, this one gives you some general information of how to play the game because it's meant to be for the operator, how to set up the system. And then, yeah, there's the assistant. Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is it. The playfield features for Baby Pac-Man. There's an energizer that doesn't appear in the maze until you do something on the pinball cabinet first. You have to spell Pac-Man, knocking down drop targets on the pinball table. Once you do that, then you'll get energizers that'll show up on the Pac-Man video game up top. You can also spell fruits using the pinball and then spell tunnel. And then this one breaks down the different things you can do with pinball while you play Pac-Man. So there's the different maze features that to play the game. You still have to collect all the dots, just like in Pac-Man. And the maze looks pretty simple. Like, if you just had the game by itself, it's not a big deal. It's the fact that it's blending the video game and the pinball together. It's incredible. And then they got some special switches in the back. That's all I was going to show for the manual. All right, let's pop in and play some Baby Pac-Man. So this one is October 10th, 1982. Yes. Oh, we get some Pac-Man music, too. So you're starting at the top with a 4-way joystick. I'm moving Pac-Man around, and you're just collecting the dots as usual. Now, if you look at the top, the the Pac-Man maze doesn't have any power pellets, but watch what happens whenever I'm badgering the ghost right here. But as soon as you go down, look, it lights up and it starts pinball. And now I'm using the flippers to flip the pinball and get the game to... So it's actually like you're playing real pinball. And how you perform by getting the drop shoots, the ones at the top, that determines if you get energizers to show up. And I like how the screen keeps going. Like, this would be a really good way to show the like cutscenes for Pac-Man on the top. Yes, and the maze is so difficult. I feel like the AI, whenever I'm playing against the ghosts, they are really on top of me. Look at that, they have the animation, cut into the next scene. This is so cool, and so much fun to play. We only play video games here, and we don't do any mechanical games. We only do just visual video games. This is the one exception we made since it's part of the Pac-Man series, and so we haven't played any other pinball games. They're still out there, still popular. Lots of people are playing pinball, and this one is just amazing that they were able to put pinball and video games together. So I'm trying to get this ghost to not follow me, but notice how whenever you play, the ghost seems super intelligent, and I'm talking even better than Pac-Man Plus. So it is really difficult. You have to be a Pac-Man pro. Pinball, though, I mean, it feels really good. It also doesn't have any of those exits that truncate you, that automatically drop you down. Unless you get unlucky, and the ball falls in the middle. So the pinball feels really easy and fun. There's not anything super challenging. It's the Pac-Man that'll get you. Sorry, yeah, Chip Dude, we didn't get any cigarette burns or pizza grease all over the thing. Yes, I believe we are taking the baby and we are just whacking the baby with a pinball, and that's how baby Pac-Man is meant to be treated. Yeah, this is fantastic. This is coming to us from Visual Pinball X, and you have to integrate it with PinMAME. So it has to use a modified version of MAME and Visual Pinball to work together. And when you do get all the dots at the top, then it does go to another maze, but it doesn't really look like a different maze. I'll see if we can get to a second colored maze. It really looks like the other maze, just colored differently. But if you are into pinball, I don't know why you're watching Chronologically Gaming, but if you're into pinball and you want to play something like this, I highly recommend checking out Visual Pinball, because it's using your graphics engine of your computer to make the pinball look like it's real life. That's why this looks so good. It's also emulating the light and color as if you were in a grungy arcade. It's awesome. Yeah, the pinball feels so easy. Like flipping the flippers and using the flippers is fantastic. Yep, and I love the physics too. It feels too good. So just imagine the pinball's real. We're not playing this on a video, because we have played video pinball since we've started the show. Of all the games we've played at this point across all categories, this is our 22nd pinball game. But all those were video pinball. Like the first one we ever saw was Pin Pong in October of 1974 by Atari. And that was not real pinball. This is real pinball. Yeah, I also like how it does the sound effects of the ball bouncing around. Nice, we got all the ghosts on that one. So we're making our way around, trying to see if we can get all the dots. And the better you perform unlocking all the lights on the pinball section makes it available for you to use power pellets up on top. Because I don't know if you noticed when I first booted the game up, when you start the game, there's no power pellets. I actually thought something was wrong with the emulation, but that's just the way the game is. All right, there we go. So we move into the next maze. This looks identical. All it is change the color of the maze. But same thing. Go down below, get the flipper in play, and you're all set. Love it. Oh man, yeah, it really makes me think of all the pinball games that are out there we have not played. They are in the arcades, along with all the video games we played when we go to the arcade. But it blows me away that I'm able to play. I'm playing pinball, but I'm also I'm playing pinball and it's incorporated with the video game. Whatever I do down here is going to affect the video game. It's so cool. It's also really fun to watch too. Someone else playing the game, because it has animation and things running at the top while you're playing pinball. Oh, really? It doesn't look like a different maze? I just thought it would look the same with different colors. Oh man, Curtis has already thrown out 4.5 stars. Well, this one's going to be a difficult one for us to rate, because this is pinball. We rate arcade games or arcade video games. And as far as the arcade video game portion, it's blended with pinball. So it's kind of a tricky rating. And the sound effects feel just like Pac-Man. It plays just like Pac-Man at the top. And in fact, we've already seen quite a bit of Pac-Mans up to this point. This one's by Bally Manufacturing, and majority of Bally Manufacturing has done Bally Pinball, and not anything that we've seen with video games, except on the Astrocade. The Bally system had 21 games that they did. This one marks the 22nd game that Bally Manufacturing's done here on the show. But if you were to check into Bally Manufacturing with all the pinball that they've made, there'd be much more. I know, it's amazing. I love how it works. Yeah, I'm seeing some really high ratings so far over in the chat. Now, this is published by Bally Midway. This is the 9th arcade game we've seen by them on the show after Solar Fox, Robbie Robo, Pac-Man Plus, Tron, Blueprint, Burger Time, Super Pac-Man, Satan's Hollow, and this one is our 10th official Pac-Man game. 10 real Pac-Man games, not just rip-offs. We saw Pac-Man and Pac-Man in May 1980, then Miss Pac-Man in January 1982. After that was Pac-Man Plus, Pac-Man on the Atari VCS, Pac-Man on the Atari home computer, and Super Pac-Man in August 1982. This one is the latest. I mean, I just really like playing pinball, because we don't play pinball here on the show, so it's really fun to be able to use the flippers. Now, if you have been keeping up with the show, though, we have played 114 Pac-Man variants. This one actually isn't official. You know how Bally Midway was using Pac-Man, but wasn't getting the rights for it? This is one of those titles. It's like Miss Pac-Man. It wasn't an official, but we're going to call it with the main line series of Pac-Mans. Yeah, Pac-Man just feels like I'm playing the original Pac-Man. It's the same controls, very, very smooth. Oh, see, that's the only thing that'll get you, is that the ball falls right down the center. Notice that we have the warps on the left and right, and then they block off the pinball section. So right here, I have to click, finish off the power pellets and be able to complete enough for them to open up so I can go down into the pinball mode. Yes. Oh man, I don't think we'll ever do Pinball Edition here on the show. Then we'd be here even longer. So right now, see, the AI is so smart. I really like how intelligent the AI is, that if I'm moving around the maze and they anticipate my movement and they actually gang up on you more than any other Pac-Man game we played so far. Even all the variants we played, the variants don't have the AI with this level of intelligence. It's even harder than Pac-Man Plus, and that already was pretty difficult. Well, they already explained in the manual, if we tilt or nudge, then the whole thing's lost and our lives up. Yes, maybe chiptune. I'm going to stick to only video games, because we got a lot of video games to cover. Oh, yeah. Alright, so now I'd love to know... Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. There you go. That's Baby Pac-Man. A unique one here for the show. A very unique game that you could see in the arcade. I'm going to have to say, of all the games you could play right now in the arcades, I'm going to have to go over 4 stars for this one. This is one of the best games you could play in the arcade, and we're kind of breaking the rules because it's not a technical video arcade game. I'm looking over the chat and I see a 4-star. Yes. Too complicated, 4.5 star. So yeah, lots of high ratings. I'm gonna have to go 4.5. It is one of the best games you could play in the arcades, and you have to admit that this would draw you in, and whether you're a pinball fan or a video game fan, the blending of it together has the best of 2 different worlds, and I have to give it in the rating around the 5-star rating. Yeah, because the hybrid, yeah, I'm with you there, Brian, too. It's amazing. Well, yeah, if we see Granny and Gators, I don't know if that one's going to be available for us to play or emulate, but I mean, I love all the Pac-Man games. So the 10th official Pac-Man game, and I say official, but not really licensed Pac-Man game, of all the games you could play right now in 1982. Alright, that's where we're going to put our video game playing on pause, or pinball playing on pause. Don't expect to see any more pinball in the future. I really appreciate everyone's patience with the beginning of the show, because we did have some technical difficulties with this emulator. It, for some reason, it decided to switch screens and decided to flip up the integration with PinMAME and Visual Pinball. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to start the show because we got this new live format. I want to get the countdown going back. so we can do some chats before the show, get ready and get pumped for Chronologically Gaming. And I just said, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and do all the testing right before the show, but maybe only this once. So next time on Chronologically Gaming, we crash the party with crazy ways to play Donkey Kong. That's it for today, and like I always say, if you catch Pac-Man fever, please consult your doctor or physician. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we missed any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are perpetually retro, and we will catch you next time.